I hope we're good technically. My fingers are crossed. I think my toes are crossed too.
Oh.
Oh, we're on. It's working. I'm so
Tremendous.
excited. Yes. It's awesome. Yay. Yay. And we have 5 minutes to spare before we go on to, well, 4 minutes to spare before we go on live on Revolution Radio as well.
Okay. Oh, that'll be that. Yeah, that'll be great.
Oh my God, this is actually my first time officially doing this, Raymond. So
I'm glad it's all falling into place.
I was so nervous about it because it's learning something new, and I'm an old dog sometimes to learn new tricks,
Oh yeah, me too.
I get anxious, and I never was like that before because I want to do everything perfect, right?
I guess if this COVID has a silver lining, it's that more people are using media such as this and accustomizing to it.
They are, and a lot of new radio shows are up like this on Facebook. I've noticed. So it's there's my friends Brian Bland and Michael Harrell have a show called Pork and Beans, and
Oh,
it's
oh yeah.
adorable. It's on all about Sasquatch. That's their focus, and pretty incredible guys. And it's getting really well received. So I'm really happy for them.
That's terrific.
And then there's just a whole bunch of different ones. So for a while, I thought this might be my last year doing the Cosmic Oracle show, but now I'm jumped back in again, and I'm booked through March of next year now
Wow. Oh, that's awesome.
with guests. So that's exciting. So I guess I'm not going anywhere. So we'll have to talk about what you're going to be doing. We have a few minutes. So you're working on Ron Strickler's phantomandmonsters.com right now currently?
Yes, and I finished a book number 6,
What?
which will be released after all of this is over, and I can get on the uh, lecture circuit and promote it. And then I'm also working on another top secret project that's somewhat related to UFOs, but in another kind of another angle to it, another segue. And once book number 6 comes out, I'll be able to talk about it.
Wow. Do you have a title, or would we have to kill you and then we could get it?
Well, it's just a continuation of this anthology
I love it. I love it.
about the planet Venus and the solar system and beyond.
Oh, it sounds
That
exciting.
just goes to show that I'm not the only one that's in contact. That thousands of people have been contacted by extraterrestrials. So I explore some of their stories.
Their stories. That's good. Well, that's what the Cosmic Oracle show is about, is people coming on and telling and sharing their extraordinary stories. So you're in the right place. We're really
Yes.
happy and honored to have you. So we're going to go live now on Revolution Radio. So hold on to your seats and strap in and put your tray tables up. It's going to be a really great ride. Here we go. and sharing their extraordinary stories. So you're in the right place. We're really
yes.
happy, honored to have you.
Friday, 1 a.m. till 4 a.m. Eastern Time. Bring your mind, bring your voice. King Arthur had nothing on that. Yeah, Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com.
Did you ever feel that things were not quite right? That everything was just ever so slightly askew? Do you have, to paraphrase Morpheus, a splinter in your life? If you're interested in hearing the latest information about UFOs, the paranormal, ancient cultures and structures, monatomic elements, longevity, fantastic discoveries in science, download to your brain, then tune into us. Hi, I'm Dave. And I am Maggie. And we are Shiny Side Out, Sundays, 2 to 4 a.m. Eastern. See you then.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. Barbara Jean Lindsey is an internationally acclaimed psychic, spiritual healer, author, and founder of the online mystery school, Esoteric University. As the Cosmic Oracle, she is a conduit to the powers that be to answer your questions about your future self, past lives, current career, love. She shines light into the darkness to illuminate what was, what may be, and beyond. The readings and advice given by Barbara Jean Lindsey are for entertainment purposes only. Should not take the place of any medical, legal, or financial advice given to you by a qualified professional and are not a substitute for medical, legal, or financial advice. If you need a doctor, call a doctor. If you need to be expanded, call the cosmic.
Hello and welcome everyone to the Cosmic Oracle Show. This is your host, Barbara Jean Lindsey. We're coming to you live on December 11th, 2020 from Sierra Madre, California. That's LA, Los Angeles area. And everything's like, it's already dark here. It feels like we're right in that darkness of the winter. And so I thought we needed something to lighten up our souls today. And who do we have with us? We have Dr. Raymond Andrew Keller II. He is here and he'll be joining us shortly. And I'm so excited to have him. He's like how we met. We became fast friends and shared pizza and watched movies and like we had been friends for like 100 years or something. So I'm always full of joy when Cosmic Ray joins the Cosmic Oracle Show. And before we get started, I do want to ask you to give generously to Revolution Radio. We're an all volunteer station. And what that means is no one gets paid for doing this. This is our 5th year on Revolution Radio every Friday, okay? And so you keep us on the air talking about whatever we feel like we want to talk about. We're totally free and with no commercial breaks per se. And so give $1, $5, whatever you can. And how you do that is you go to freedomslips.com. That's freedomslips.com and give $5, $10, whatever you can to keep us on the air. And we thank you in advance. So before we bring Raymond on, I want to tell you a little bit about him. He is Dr. Raymond A. Keller II is an award-winning author and retired history professor, is the author of the Venus Rising trilogy, Final Countdown, Rockets to Venus, and Cosmic Ray's Excellent Venus Adventure are the newest in the series. And Ray's been on our show before and talked about those 2 books. So today he's going to be talking about his addition to those 2 with his 3rd book, The Vast Venus Conspiracy, and his fourth book, The Vast Venus Conspiracy, and the 5th book, Lady Columba, Venus Revelation. And today the first hour of the show, we're gonna really focus on the vast Venus conspiracy. So, we'll get into that. but Dr. Keller's books explore various facets of conditions and life on Venus in many dimensions from a perspective of conspiracies, history, theosophy, ufology, and current events, especially space research. And if you didn't hear this at the beginning of the show, he's working on his 6th book currently, and he can't tell us about it because it's top secret. So, so to date, Venus Rising, A Concise History of the Second Planet, won awards at the Southern California and London Book Festivals. Congratulations, Dr. Keller. Dr. Keller has lived and worked in 44 different countries and has been writing about UFOs and paranormal activity since 1967. He was the founder and director of the Outer Space International Research and Investigation Society, Osiris, I like that, of Wilmar, California, as well as a publisher and co-editor of the New Millennial Star, a monthly pre-internet tabloid newspaper with a circulation of 7,500 copies. He received his doctoral degree from West Virginia University in 2011, focusing on various aspects of the Basque settlement of Venezuela, received his master's degree from the same institution in 2004 in foreign language with an emphasis on magic realism and Latin American literature. Welcome to the show, Cosmic Ray.
Thank you. Thank you to the Cosmic Oracle for inviting me onto the program.
It's a thrill to have you here. It certainly is. And I know that's just a brief bio because you work so hard and you're so diligent, you're so focused and so passionate about your work that we probably could have went on for a few more pages. So we just kind of gave a brief outline of who you are and your work.
Well, thank you so much. I might add that the recent book, book number 4 in the Venus Rising series, The Vast Venus Conspiracy, just won 2nd place in the Paris, France book festival.
What? That's so
Yes,
exciting.
that's the highest award that I've gotten so far.
Wow.
All of the books have won some award or another, but that is the very highest one. So I'm so excited about that.
Wow. Well, yeah, you should be. I mean, that's quite an honor. It's just the beginning, you know, for you too. I think we're trying to pull you out of the background where I know that Rob Potter pulled you out, and then I met you. Oh, you got to come on the show, and just a jewel that and such a vast walking library of knowledge that I can't wait to get into this and jump into the Vast Venus Conspiracy book. So
Yes, I have a lot of material that I've collected over the years, and I have to rent a garage, a storage area the size of a regular garage. It's out in the backwoods here in West Virginia, and then I just make regular trips there to get the material that I need. I have file boxes and archives, and all in alphabetical order and everything by subject. And then I put together all the material, arrange it in chronological order, and then I start to write on those different themes, and that's usually what makes up the chapters that go into the Venus books.
Do you have an idea of what you're going to write before you write it? Then is that you have?
Yes, I have a general theme. If it's an individual contactee, then I collect their papers, and then I put them in chronological order, and then any photographs and evidence and so forth. I was just working with. I just did a series on phantoms and monsters with Lon Strickler, and about Woodrow Darrenberger. He was a fellow West Virginian who back in the mid 1960s had some contacts with Indrid Cold from the planet Lanulos, which is about 8.5 light years away. And I had all his original material. I made copies of it and posted it in the article, and interviews and clippings from West Virginia newspapers and so forth. So it's anybody that can find material just that I write. Lon's the Strickler's site, phantomsandmonsters.com, and also Rob Potter's thepromiserevealed.com. There's a lot of, I think he has some 40 different articles that I've written that are posted up there. And it's all new. It's a lot of older material, but it's never been seen before. And I just feel that part of my mission is to bring that to light, because as we've seen by the papers, as Raymond Palmer used to say in Fate magazine and so forth, I see by the papers that a lot of the contactee messages are now being vindicated. Just in 2020, in the past year, they've discovered phosphenes in the atmosphere of Venus, which are indicative of complex ecosystems and organisms. And they've also discovered water on the moon in abundance, in the form of ice or water, and even water under the surface in a liquid form, and on the surface in ice. In the craters, and there's one crater at the south pole of the moon that has a frozen lake the size of Puerto Rico. And when Howard Menger and George Adamski and others were talking about these kind of things, they said that they were crazy. But a lot of the things that they wrote about are now being proven. And a lot of the things that I've written about in these Venus books are being vindicated as well, about the existence of planets, exoplanets and other planets, even in our own solar system, beyond the orbit of Neptune, and the Kuiper belt, and asteroids, and hollowed out asteroids that are used as space platforms and so forth. And they discovered an interloper from another solar system passing through ours that was changing speed and changing course and direction and everything. So all these things are they're for real. And people might say it's that they might call it woo woo, but if they follow up all the footnotes that I put in these books, they'll see no, it's real. There is a vast conspiracy out there of people just sitting on this in positions of power and not sharing that information about the real extraterrestrial presence that is here, even here on the earth among us.
And even from the work like Adamski from the 1950s, right, that you do research on, and before that. So in your research, have you found that it's just been there since our beginning, right? Is that?
Oh yes, I have. I even have newsletters from Carol Honey, who is the secretary to Adamski, and Charlotte Blodgett, and others. In fact, I'm working on a series right now from the Charlotte Blodgett files, and I have them here.
Well, let's take a look.
Yeah, she did some Christmas drawings. So I'll go ahead and pull those out later. It's
Okay.
toward the end, so we could take a look at it. It's very unique. These were the makeups that she had done for some newsletters and had some original articles typed from George Adamski, and Venusian scout ships and Christmas lights and things like that. So it's very cool.
Well, and to have that, the paper in your hand, are you like a kid in Christmas, right? When you're looking at it and you're going, probably, holy crap, this is like this, here it is in writing, here it is in our history, and we can prove that this.
Oh yes, and it's so much material that I have that I could write and continue to write these series of books. I feel really privileged because really until now nobody was really paying attention, but I was back in the 60s, and Raymond Palmer's Flying Saucers magazine, and in the National Enquirer, and everything. And then I went into the military, so I kind of dropped out of the UFO scene. But my experience at in the hospital in Pittsburgh, I had quadruple bypass surgery, and I realized that maybe my time might be limited. So I want to make sure that I put this material out there for the future, for posterity, because it's needed now more than ever with all of the negativity and fear and that's charged up in the atmosphere at the present time. We need a few rays of light. So that's my mission as the cosmic ray, is to
Yeah.
a little light.
Yeah. And you started young, weren't you, like 14 when you started your, how old
Oh
when you
yes,
started your?
yes. I was very young at the time, 14 or 15 years old, and it was Earl J. Neff. He was a director of the Cleveland Ufology Project. He was a sketch artist for Elliot Ness of the Untouchables fame, when Elliot Ness was the commissioner, safety commissioner in Cleveland, Ohio, and he was elected the first director of the group. And it might be Cleveland Ufology might be the first group to use the term UFO in their title. It goes back to 1952.
Huh.
And he gave my friend Alan Weston and I the funding from the Cleveland Ufology Project to start publishing the Flying Saucer Report. And he had noticed that after our sighting of a scout ship over a railroad trestle in Walton Hills, Ohio, hovering over a railroad trestle, that we had done series of articles in local newspapers, in the Bedford Times Register and the Maple Heights Press, and these are suburbs of Cleveland. And we also did some articles for the CUP newsletter, Cleveland Ufology Project newsletter. And so he felt that that our idea to publish a flying saucer magazine for young people was a real good idea. So that's why he convinced the group to give us the money to start it.
I'm glad he did. I'm so glad he did.
So that article from the National Enquirer that appears in the second book, the Final Countdown: Rockets to Venus, that shows me as a teenager uh, in the National Enquirer back in the 1960s, holding up all these consecutive monthly issues of the Flying Saucer Report. And there's a photograph that I'm holding up that's emblematic of the scout ship that we saw over the railroad trestle.
I love that. It's like, it's, maybe you can inspire some young women and men, young teenagers to, keep carrying that flame forward, right, Ray?
Oh, yeah, oh yes. And it's really great. I think that the science fiction that comes out today and that has come out has always been prophetic and in some ways um, reflective of the reality that's out there. For example, in the movies that Steven Spielberg did, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, um, with the uh, kind of foreign exchange with Earthlings and extraterrestrials. There's actually a lot of evidence out there that these things took place, and the consultants to the movie were Jacques Vallée, the computer scientist and ufologist from France, who wrote that many uh, books about flying saucers and supernatural phenomena. Passport to Magonia, Challenge to Science, UFOs, Challenge to Science, and so forth. And Dr. J. Allen Hynek, who was the Air Force consultant to Project Blue Book, but before that even to Project Sign since 1948, all the way up through 1969 when Project Blue Book was shut down at the recommendation of the Condon Committee, which was Dr. Edward U. Condon, a physicist at the University of Colorado at Boulder. He was commissioned by the government to analyze the Blue Book files and other UFO reports, and to do a scientific report on unidentified flying objects, which is actually a whitewash of the UFO phenomena, because we know that the government continued to investigate flying saucers through other intelligence agencies. And Coral Lorenzen of APRO, the founder of the Aerial Phenomena Research Organization, that was originally up in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin. And I just did a series of articles about her and the foundations of APRO that is also available on Lon Strickler's Phantoms and Monsters .com. It's Coral Lorenzen and the foundations of the Aerial Phenomena Research Organization. And it details a lot of information about her friendship with George Adamski and actual saucer landings, flying saucer occupants. This is from the early 1950s, and a lot of people never got to see this information, even in her books. And one of the things I share in that is the series of photographs of some flying saucers taken over a Brazilian beach, and that was by a photographer named Ed Keffel from O Cruzeiro magazine, and João Martins, the journalist who covered UFO cases in Brazil for this magazine called O Cruzeiro. And they're the ones who initially reported on the conference at Mount Palomar on the 7th and 8th of August, 1954, when Truman Bethurum, George Adamski, and Daniel Fry both came to lecture on UFOs at the Skyline Lodge there.
My goodness. I had the honor to meet Daniel Fry. So I'd hang out with him at his house.
Well, in my book, Cosmic Ray's Excellent Venus Adventure, in the back,
Mhm.
I have the photographs of two of the airmen that were working at the White Sands Proving Range with Daniel Fry back in 1949, when he encountered a landed flying saucer, remote controlled, and a voice invited him to step into the spaceship, and he went up above the Earth's atmosphere and then down again. And 15 minutes later, he was over the New York City skyline, and then 15 minutes after that, he was flown back to White Sands Proving Ground in New Mexico. So it shows Airman Perryman and this other airman and their bunks at the White Sands, and then outside the barracks where they were living, where they were working on this project with Daniel Fry, is a prototype, is a photo of a prototype of the A4 missile.
Hmm.
It was both a heat-seeking and radar tracking missile, and it possibly may have been used as a protection against UFOs that he was originally working on it, because back in that day, back in 1949, all across these military installations and defense installations, there were these regular scout ships, but then there were these tiny registered discs, these little kind of drones that were deployed from the UFOs, and they would go over nuclear sites and scan them, and they emitted like a green glow and aura around them, and they were reported all throughout the newspapers around the world as over the Soviet Union and over the United States as green fireballs. And a lot of people don't know about this stuff. And so this is the kind of thing that I look for and I write about. And you can see the pictures of these two airmen and the missile in Cosmic Ray's Excellent Venus Adventure. That's the book that's in back of me on the poster.
Right, I can see that.
That one.
Well, and so are you saying then that the Venusians then don't have a preference, that they don't have one country that they prefer over the other, or they're just as the world itself that they're care about?
Yes, it's the world. It's the world that they care about. They actually would prefer if we started getting our act together in a literal sense, and the sooner we start thinking of ourselves as planetary citizens or world citizens, it's all the better. Let's take industrial pollution and levels of contamination and so forth. If we sign off on these accords and everything, that's great. But if the Chinese don't, it's an act of futility, because everything on the planet is interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to work together in concert, as a planet for our future, not just a selfishly nationalistic type
Mm-hmm.
of interest. but I try not to get I try not to get too political, and the Venusians don't either. But if there are movements underway to help bring people together and help build consensus among people, they would be for something like that.
Mhm. And so usually on the show, we talk about personal experiences too. So when you say the word Venusians and your passion, can you share one of your experiences with the Venusians with
Oh
our
yes.
audience today?
Oh yes. Well, I believe that that really their mission is a spiritual one, and that it's like uh, Hebrews chapter 13, verse 2, that we should always be kind to one another, for know ye not that ye entertain angels unawares. And then in the Psalms 91, verse 11, it said that uh, his angels have been charged to look over us. And some of the Venusians that have been here have talked about it, like Valiant Thor to uh, Reverend Frank Stranges and so
Oh,
forth.
yeah.
And so I believe this. And Billy Graham said he believed that angels and aliens were one of the same thing in his book, uh, Angels, God's Secret Messengers, and that they do use flying saucers to visit our planet, and what Ezekiel called wheels within wheels. The Romans referred to them as flying shields and so forth. And so there's a definite connection going back to antiquity of these beings living and working right among us. Just recently, an Israeli, I think it was a defense minister, just came out and admitted that extraterrestrials live right here on Earth, right here with us, accomplishing their mission, working behind the scenes to do these things. And so a lot of times you may encounter um, Venusians or other extraterrestrials, and you just kind of have a sense that they're there, that's who that is. Once I was at uh, a Smith grocery store in Salt Lake City, and this gentleman, it was an older gentleman. He was all dressed in white, and he had uh, pure white hair and everything. And he was in front of the line for in the grocery store, and I was fumbling around my wallet trying to get the money to pay for it, and then he just volunteered to pay for it, and I said, "Oh, thank you so much," and then uh, he he turned around, he walked out into the parking lot, and looking down both sides of the parking lot, um, there was no place that he could have gone. There was only a few cars there, and I would have seen him, going to a car or something.
Mhm.
Um, and I looked down both sides of the walkway, and he wasn't anywhere to be seen. He just vanished, and so I just concluded that, well, that must be uh, one of God's angels,
Right,
you know,
right.
doing a good deed.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure if I met one before, but I had that feeling once. And it's where it was in Mount Shasta, and it was, he just seemed so perfect. It's like too perfect, like too clean, too like out of like a movie set or something. Everything was put together perfectly, but there was something about it that was, I don't know. It was odd. It wasn't us. It wasn't, I don't know what it was either, but I know what you're talking about. I wish I could explain it better, but it was like, and I didn't really get it till afterwards, that how there was that strangeness to it, a little bit of a strangeness to it. Almost like it was maybe a little interdimensional or something
Yes, yes,
like
exactly.
that.
Well,
Yeah.
this is my my initial outright encounter with the Venusian took place on Mount Shasta back in 1987,
Mm.
and we had our we had 14 chapters worldwide of Osiris, and our chapter in we had one chapter in Murray, Utah, a suburb of Salt Lake City, and Clayton Parker was he was a very spiritual man. He was our mentor. He was 80. He was 87 at the time, just 1 year younger than um, Annalise Guerin, who was his mentor and teacher. She was from American Falls, Idaho. She was born on the 7th day of the 7th month at the 7th hour in I think, yeah, 1899. And she wrote
Oh,
9 books about uh, metaphysical experiences and spiritual subjects and so forth. And um, Clayton was with Anna Lee when she literally translated off planet and went to Venus to be an ascended master.
mhm.
And at first we didn't believe him. You know, it just seemed too incredible. But so many synchronicitous events happened on the way to Mount Shasta when we followed him there on a pilgrimage, and we started meeting all these people, and they seemed to know who we were and all about us without us saying anything, and uh, telling us all kinds of legends and things that we could check out and write about in the New Millennial Star. And anyway, we got to the base of the mountain. It's a parking area over there. And then Clayton told us to follow this trail up the mountain as far as we could go. So we got above the tree line, and I understand that it's called Panther Meadow.
Right,
Uh,
right.
and there's an outcropping of rocks there and a spring, uh, uh, natural spring of water and everything there.
So beautiful.
We just decided to sit down there and take a break, and then this girl, uh, 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 she looked like a young teenager, materialized in just kind of like a pillar of light. Uh, there were all kinds of sparkling lights and around her, and she had a white jumpsuit with gold braid on it and everything, and she would look very impressive. And she said her name was Lady Ankara, and she knew why we were there, and she came to answer our questions about flying saucers. So she stayed with us for 3 hours, and there were 8 of us in the party, and and when we came back down, we were all excited, and we told Reverend Parker about it, and he said that was Anna Lee. That was Anna Lee Scarin in her more exalted form.
Oh. Now that's an experience, Cosmic Ray. Oh my gosh. How
Oh,
did you spin that in your mind? Did you try and put it in a box? I don't know if you can put that in a box.
it was so much. It was so much material, and then Kay Studstrup. She was. We were the meeting in her home in Murray, Utah, with our group. She brought the camera along, and she took some pictures of. She asked if she could take some pictures of Lady Ankara with our group before she left and dematerialized the same way that she came in. Uh, but when we got to so we all crowded around her, and she was in the forefront in the pictures. And then when we got to the 1 hour photo mat back in Murray, Utah, and had the pictures developed, we were waiting for all excited to see these pictures of her. And we were all we were all gathered around in the picture, but she wasn't anywhere to be seen. And then I later learned that because of her, because of where we were, she was actually bilocated. So she was in a body with a much lighter density, that she could actually be in two places at once. And she said that where she was is that they were on an expedition to a planet called Balaton in the Sirius star sector, and that she was bilocated to that point in space and time on Mount Shasta with the Stargate on in the Sirius star sector. And she said if since we were standing in that interdimensional vortex, so to speak, that if we looked up the sides of the mountain there, right on the tree line, we could see these 5 to 8 foot mantises walking up and down the side of the mountain. Those are the beings that guard these stargates. And we did. We saw them, because she said we could see them if we looked at them with our sight beyond sight, with a spiritual eye.
Right.
Because as it's taught in the Bible, is that there are people who have ears to hear, and they don't hear, and they have eyes to see, yet they don't see.
Right.
But what the Master Jesus meant when he said that is that we have these ears, and normally, we can't hear things of a higher spiritual dimension. We have eyes, but we can't see these things at a higher dimension, a lighter density. But if we focus and ponder upon these things, and allow ourselves to see them, that we can. So it's just a matter of being open to it.
Right.
And so, wherever there's two or more that ask for these things, it's going to be answered.
Right. And a let go, and then the vibration goes up. Oops, it goes up, right? It's like so high. That's like, whoa, it goes way up, right? And you just go, ah,
Yeah, yes. So we learned to do that a little bit. Reverend Parker was showing us, he'd bring in like Egyptian papyri and cartouches, which are when the Egyptians would write messages, they would contain them within like a roped, it's signified by like a roped off a, a circle.
Mhm.
And they make these inscriptions inside inside the cartouche, and then they would illustrate it with other pictograms. So we didn't know, any how to read any Egyptian, but he showed us how to, just kind of feel it by running our hand over it and receiving
Energy, reading the
right,
energy
receiving
level,
the
the field,
impression
energy field.
from it, the energy field that's coming off of it. Maybe like a kind of, not telekinesis, but when you like a when you can perceive the vibrations and emanations off of objects, um, that kind of um, energy reading. And we looked at some documents with mantid like creatures on it from Egypt and everything, and he interpreted the how that pertained to stargates and everything. And some of it is that I put in Venus rising in the first book, and also in the fourth book, the vast Venus conspiracy, with some ancient Egyptian papyri and what that signify. Yeah, it's in that one. In the
Oh yeah, I don't know what
uh,
page. I have it all marked up here, so of ideas. Oh, I got to ask him about this. So, and you just go back into the history of it. It's just pretty cool. There's Gary Barker.
so this explains all about the stargates and everything, and then you can see the mantids up here in the in the top, and then the small little numbers that are beside these various beings and figures represent solar systems that are connected through these stargates to the great central sun.
That's
And so it's all explained in here.
cool right there. So not only do you tell the story and have the, you back it up. That's what I love about your work, Raymond. It's like people come on, they tell their story, but they don't back it up the way you do as a historian. That's the beauty of your work that makes it so important.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. I hope more people can start to look at these things objectively and follow the footnotes.
And in this book, the one lady that just got my attention was Lady Orda.
Oh yes, yes. Okay. Yes, all of the planet Venus is organized kind of like a giant collective, like a beehive.
Mhm.
And she is the reigning queen of Venus, and her whole story and her biography, how she arrived at that position and her various incarnations on Earth, going through the learning process and becoming a translated being, much like Annalise Guerin went through, and many others. That story actually begins in the first book, Venus Rising, and then her story culminates in Cosmic Ray's Excellent Venus uh, adventure. And this fourth book, I focus on Commander Aura Rains and her story. And let's see if I can find it there. This was through some of her other contacts besides Truman Bethurum, which is in the first book. But there's a chapter 6. This is Dominic Lucesi meets the space girl. Yeah, Dominic Lucesi was a radio engineer and a ham operator, and he was one of the early research associates and investigators and writers for Albert K. Bender's International Flying Saucer Bureau, IFSB space newsletter, outer space newsletter. And Dominic Lucesi lived in New Jersey, born in 1925 and lived till 1987. And myself and Alan Weston, we had the opportunity in the 1960s to attend his lecture
Right.
in New York City. I had a
Nice ride. That's a nice ride there, Raymond. What
I
part?
had a 1964 sky blue Tempest convertible,
Well, yeah.
Pontiac Tempest. So I took it out on the road, and we traveled to Canada and to New York and all over the place with it in the Cleveland Ufology Project. But anyway, he was doing a presentation about his contact with the landed flying saucer. He was guided out to the countryside in New Jersey, outside his home, to meet with where he met Aura Rains, and so he had a lot of questions to ask her, and he provided the answers there, and he also wrote about them. This is from my Venus files. This is October 1954. This is the cover of Nexus magazine. And you can see down here, right here, that's the artwork by Dominic Lucesi. And he believed that that during the Venusians had been visiting the Earth since the time of the Roman Empire and the Greeks as well, and that the Venusians and flying saucers were visiting the Earth since that time. So in the picture, you see the volcano at Mount Etna
Right.
in Sicily, and then you see the Venusian scout ship up here, and then Lady Venus right here. So
Beautiful drawing.
issue where he first started writing about his contacts with Aura Rains. This is Dom when he was on the Long John Nebel radio program called Party Line. It was on WOR in New York, and before satellites came out, of course. And it covered, the signal covered 25 states and a few Canadian provinces as well. And that was him. He was a frequent guest, and he provided a lot of background information from the International Flying Saucer Bureau, as well as Saucers and Unexplained Celestial Events Research Society. That's the acronym for saucers.
I love that.
And Gray Barker's newsletter as well. And here's another cover of Nexus. This is this Commander Aura Rains.
I love that one.
Stepping out of the flying saucer. So you see
Right.
the kind of, he said that this belt had a kind of Egyptian motif. It was a gold this gold belt, and it had Egyptian pictographs
Hmm.
in it, and she had some kind of an emblem over there, and
Collar necklace. Yeah, she has like a collar necklace and an emblem, and then is she wearing a mask or is that a helmet or?
yes, that is that's a type of head covering that she wore when she took it off when she was inside the spaceship. And then I have the actual diagram that he made of uh, inside the ship and everything. And this is a device that he received. This is a device that he received from Aura Reigns. It's activated by Cytherium crystals.
Hmm.
It's a radioactive isotope, and it can do a lot of things: teleport and send and receive, uh, augment telepathic messages over vast distances, and it's activated with a wristwatch. It's a device that looks like a wristwatch, but it's concealing something much more. And he's holding it there, and then that's his QSL card right there. It's his ham radio operator card. So he would, as a ham operator, amateur ham operator, he'd communicate with people from around the world, and then they'd exchange these cards
I love it.
with
I-
their with their radio call letters and everything on it.
We're almost to a break. Can you believe that? It's been an hour already. And
Oh
so,
my.
yeah, we're just coming. We'll end with this last photo here. I love that one.
Oh, okay. This is a drawing that Dominic Lucesi made of Aura Reigns inside the ship, and you see that it has a lot of resemblance. You'll see in my other Venus books where I have some drawings of her made by Truman Bethlehem, who was a construction worker out in Redondo Beach. He worked in Nevada with a construction road crew, but he lived in Redondo Beach, and he drew similar drawings of Aura Reigns, but independently.
Thank you. We'll be right back. After this break, we'll be back at 6:04. So stay right where you are. We're going to talk about Lady Columba, Venus Revelations with Dr. Keller. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. And we're still live all the way through, Raymond, so you know, okay?
Oh, okay. All righty.
But you can take a little break if you need to, or
Oh, thank you. I'll go. I'm going to look for the Christmas drawings there of by Charlotte Blodgett.
It's not real. The only place that fear can live is in our thoughts of the future. It is the product of our imagination, causing us to fear things that do not at present and may not ever exist. That is mere insanity. But do not misunderstand me. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice. We are all telling ourselves a story. You're listening to Revolution Radio and FreedomSlips.com. 100% listener-supported radio. Reporting container. Not afraid. Right here is your information. Revolution Radio. Revolution Radio every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Studio B. Terry Zan, host, Dan Garcia at freedomslips.com, the People Station.
It's no secret that the so-called mainstream media is best described as controlled propaganda. Countless news stories are either totally ignored or spun with half-truths, and because of this, essential facts and vital information are often compromised. Join Dr. Oz every Friday night on Studio B at 10 p.m. Eastern and learn why the story behind the story was nominated for a Peabody Award in its second year of producing unparalleled broadcasting excellence in 1997. That is, if you really care about learning the truth.
All right, thanks for listening while we take that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And yeah, we're going to get back to your host.
Hello and welcome back to the Cosmic Oracle Show. This is your host, Barbara Jean Lindsey. And we have with us this evening, we have Dr. Raymond A. Keller II. And we just had the best hour. It went by so fast. And now we're back for our second hour. And we're going to be talking all about Lady Columba, his latest book, The Venus Revelations. I'm going to show you this beautiful, beautiful cover. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And I love the photo of you with, who's that in that shell back there, Raymond?
Oh, that's Lady Venus, her statue. That's at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in Philadelphia. You know, where they filmed the scene, famous scene, the Rocky movie,
Oh, yeah. It's
where he's
beautiful.
jumping up and down on the steps there. Well, they have a Venus room in there, all devoted to artwork about Lady Venus.
It's Venus all about love. You know, when you think about Venus, is that what it's about? Is really about love and loving ourselves and loving each other and loving the world and
Oh yes, and so you see that in the literature going back to the earliest times. Even in Virgil's Aeneid, and it talks about Lady Venus and the foundation of her role in the foundation of the Roman Empire, and then later on, Dante wrote about the third sphere of heaven as being the planet Venus and all the wonderful, loving people that he met there on his journey through the solar system. First starting with the moon, and then going to the other planets in the solar system and meeting various people from Earth who had either been celestialized or were indigenous to these worlds. So I mean, this is we think of the contactee phenomena as something new, but I mean, people have been writing about these experiences going back in the antiquities, and the founder of the New Jerusalem Church, it's Emanuel Swedenborg. He wrote a book about his trip to Venus, and so forth. And so this is nothing new under the sun with Venus or any of the planets in the solar system, for that matter.
Well, I'm glad they were patient and didn't give up on us.
Oh yes. Well, they're concerned because we're all in the same family, so to speak. But in the break, I did get that material.
Right.
Now Now, Charlotte Blodgett was working with other groups that were associated with George Adamski. And so from her files, we have, of course, UFO Contact. This was a magazine from Denmark, and it was Major Hans C. Peterson. He was in the Danish Air Force. He was a major in a NATO country, and privy to information about UFOs. So all these magazines from back in the 60s and 70s, Charlotte Blodgett was coordinating that. And then there was another group that was, this was over in Japan, and they published a magazine called UFO Contactee. And this was all about people from Asia that were meeting Venusians and other extraterrestrials. And so all their stories and everything.
What's the date on those? What's the date on that?
Oh, yes, this one was, these are 1989, 1986.
I love it.
So even after Adamski passed in 1965, they continued with all of this important work.
Mhm.
So from her files, here is, so I'm working on this now. It's going to be for a series with Lon and with, this is an actual type copy of called The Impersonal Deity by George Adamski. This was his interpretations of God from the extraterrestrial perspective. So this never been published so far as I know.
Wow.
And so I have all these different files. Here's different correspondence from with all the different UFO groups, Adamski groups.
I swear we need a museum for you.
Oh yes.
Talked about that. We want a historical museum in your name.
And this is Charlotte Blodgett's bibliography of all the books that she considered important. And she puts at the top of the list, Flying Saucers Have Landed by Desmond Leslie and George Adamski. Of course, Desmond Leslie was a British Earl.
I didn't know that.
Oh yes, and he also served as a technical consultant for the movie with Michael Renee and Patricia Neal, Day the Earth Stood Still.
Oh,
And then the follow-up movie, a lot of people don't know, the follow-up movie to that, part 2 was Visitor from Venus, and that was made in the British Isles a couple years later. It also starred Patricia Neal.
Oh my goodness, I've never seen that.
And that's where a Venusian comes down, and as the British Air Force and the MI5 and so forth, and they tried to hold him for a while, and they find he doesn't have fingerprints, and he could do all kind of amazing things while he's in the process of repairing his ship so he could go back to Venus. That's a great movie.
Oh.
Then Inside the Spaceships and Flying Saucers Farewell, those were the other 2 UFO books that Adamski wrote. Space Gravity and the Flying Saucer, that's Leonard DeCramp. That's the one that inspired me to write the series about UFO propulsion.
Mm.
And then this is published by Charlotte Blob's group. It's in Valley Center, California at, and it's questions and answers most frequently asked about space visitors and other planets.
I think I read somewhere too where California is kind of a hotbed. They have kind of an affection for California a little bit.
Oh yes, it's California's consistently led the country in UFO in UFO reports. That's why I really liked living out there. Then she has more Adamski articles of different kinds. Here's some more. Was yes, science of life. He taught a series of courses in Laguna Beach in the late 1930s on the mystic arts and his time that he spent in Tibet and everything. And so Charlotte was trying to get those out to the public, and then they received newspaper clippings from all around the world. Here's El Heraldo de Mexico, and it says platillos voladores sobre el cielo de Tetepango, Hidalgo. That says flying saucers over the skies of Tetepango and Hidalgo, two cities in Mexico where there was a UFO flap. And then some articles from Excelsior in Mexico City about sightings of ovnis, UFOs, objetos volantes ni identificados. Other articles from Peru. Then articles by others in Adamski's Inner Circle, Alice Pomeray and others. So this is all correspondence with people in these different groups, and type letters. There's Alice K. Wells and others. So, here's these are okay. Oh, I have it in this other file. And this is some of they moved up to Wisconsin. And then I have these are the original before they went to press. This is the cover of the Cosmic Newsletter.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
So you see that up at
It looks like a cigar shaped, right? Cigar shaped.
Right. These are the motherships or the carrier ships.
Mhm.
And then they're levitating people off the Earth to take them up into outer space at some remote field location. And Charlotte believed that that was part of the Bible prophesied rapture.
Hmm.
And then at the top here, she puts a quote from the Bible. It says, and when I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and will take you to myself, that where I am, you may be also.
Ah, that's great.
There we go.
Fantastic. It's
Up and away, like
right. Wow. Wow.
So then they had this was their group's logo, Brotherhood to Humankind. So they were, they were looking beyond beyond nationalism, just looking at not the black race, the white race, so forth, but the human race.
Right.
And here's one with, this is one with Lady Orda. This is her drawing.
Oh, I really like her. There's something about her. I don't know what, but I just really like her.
So you see some
Oh, yeah,
Venusian scout chips there.
right.
And then,
Uh,
and there's a quotation on the bottom there from George Adamski.
oh, what does it say?
And it says, let us be friendly. Let us recognize and welcome beings from other worlds. They are here among us. Let us be wise enough to learn from those who can teach us much, who will be our friends if we will but let them. Signed,
Oh,
George Adamski.
that's fantastic.
Now here's, this is an interesting drawing because it's reflects the unity of celestial beings that we all have the same DNA and the same source. So you see all the planets. This drawing has all the planets of the solar system around the sun in
That's
an equal
beautiful.
status.
I like that one. That's with the hands holding each other. I love that.
Venusian handshake there.
A Venusian handshake. I like it.
So this one says, this is from Inside the Spaceships, 1955. They have come in peace. There will be more abundant proof throughout the world than I, as one man, can be given, and in turn to give out. More to come. George Adamski, 1955.
Wow.
And this was says at the top, Midwest, to be the Midwest edition of the Cosmic Newsletter.
See, it is early Christmas here. We are celebrating tonight because these are like little jewels. These are like little gifts, little presents you're giving us, who are listening in. I'm sure everyone's just going, oh my gosh.
And different, there's a article, My Discovery Will Prove Adamski's Claim. So basically people were collecting information from various sources as they could to vindicate what George Adamski wrote about and the other contactees were writing about. So that's what I do. And so I was very happy to be vindicated by a lot of the information that's in my Venus book. So for the ad for Fate magazine that just came out, and I'll bring that up here. Let's see, the Fate. I just had it.
Well, you would think 70 years we don't have to argue this anymore, right? Can we just stop it? It's been proven. Let's move on, right? Game over. New beginning.
Oh, here it is. Okay.
Okay.
And we're going to minimize that and share. Doesn't want to come up on the share screen.
Oh, let's see. Let me look on my end and see. It says multiple. You should be able to share it. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm going to try.
I'm not good like that.
Well, I can show you the cover of I'll show you the cover of yeah, here's the.
Oh, it says screen sharing. There you go.
Oh, okay. This is the Lady Columba book.
Oh, it's so beautiful. It really is. And we have to get into that. Okay, let's go into that next.
All right. So this is the advertisement that appears in the current issue of Fate magazine. It's on the back cover, and so the description here is that Dr. Raymond Keller details how Annabelle Krebs traveled through space and time with a group of extraterrestrials and a Soviet cosmonaut back in the late 1950s and early 1960s. The cosmic ray, in the course of researching his many Venus books, obtained Annabelle's notes describing her experiences and original artwork illustrating her fantastic adventures. So I'm very proud of this book, and a lot of the discoveries that are being made in outer space vindicate the very things that she wrote about more than 60, 70 years ago. So this is it's really quite a fantastic book.
And an important book, an important historical book.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that.
Did you have any particular questions as you were as you were reading it?
Well, yeah, there was the one, let me see if I can find it. The where is it? Where is it? Oh,
Now she lived in she was originally born in Greensburg, Pennsylvania in 1902,
mhm.
and she passed from this earth life in the late 1990s, almost before the turn of the century. But back in 1966, she did a painting of the process that she predicted she would undergo in
Yeah.
outer space on the moon, where they collected her DNA. And this is a painting that she made of her resurrection, where her consciousness was downloaded and then reinstilled into a new body constructed from her DNA that they took before she died. This is at in the art museum at the University of Tucson in Arizona.
That's incredible. I wish people could see that. Everyone could see it. It's like our listeners here on Revolution Radio, you have to just buy Raymond's book and you'll see the image there, correct, Dr.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that we assumed about the moon, that it was a dead, lifeless planet, she disproves it, and all throughout the book points out research that was undertaken in both the United States and the Soviet Union with various moon programs and a
Mhm.
secret space program, about the Russian project E-2, which was to detonate nuclear bombs on the moon, and how the Venusians and other extraterrestrials operating from a base on the far side of the moon, that they put a stop to that.
Mhm.
And the Interplanetary Council.
That's what I was just bringing up.
Oh, wow.
Look at
Okay.
that.
Oh, that's synchronicitous.
Yes, it is. That's what I wanted to talk about. I thought that was really important.
Oh, okay. Well,
For
in
you to
this
talk about.
picture, we see Commander Rains, Aura Rains, with the beret right here.
Mhm.
We see Vorton. Vorton is signified in the Venusian language that he is a title. It's a title in his name, VOR, Venusian Observation Ranger. he was a communications officer and like a translator for this conference with all the different kind of species from some of the member planets of the Galactic Federation. So we see an elephantine type being, and we see other alien hybrids, bee people, that they're part bee, and we even see a blue avian in there. And remember that this drawing was made in the late 1950s.
Okay.
Well before anybody was talking about blue avians or anything. And here Annabelle Krebs is writing about this and doing these pictures. But people didn't pay attention to her because I guess the male contactees were getting all the attention,
Right.
and they were ignoring her. But here she was. She just had lived in this small town in Arizona, and she heard about the contactees. She heard about uh, Truman Bethurum and Daniel Fry and George Van Tassel and everything, and she wanted to be where all the action was out there in Southern California. So she moved to Joshua Tree,
Oh, yes.
and she became the secretary to Truman Bethurum. And in the course of doing this, she met many of these same beings and these same extraterrestrials, and wrote these books. And she describes Clarion not being a planet, but being a vast complex, a city that's partially underground and then partially above ground under a pressurized dome on the far side of the moon, the side that we can't see.
Wow. I have to just, I think the reason why I wanted to look at that one image is because, and I didn't know this until you just said it. That's how things happen, right? When I had my NDE and I went up on the spaceship and I was brought to an ambassador party, the one person that I remembered that stuck out was an elephant being. He had an elephant head, and I just thought it was the strangest thing. And I thought, I'm losing it. That just can't be. And he had an elephant head and a male body and a tuxedo. But I meant to see that. And I have never heard anyone talk about that. And to have it on this, and I looked at this drawing and I knew it was significant, but I didn't notice the elephant being there. How do you like that? Until when you just said that.
Well, now it's interesting because Annabelle Krebs had spent some time in India when she was growing up. She became a social activist and a world traveler. She lived in Germany, India, and she met an ascended master, Lady Aurora, there, and learned many of the much of esoteric knowledge and so forth. And in the book, she talks about the Lunarians, the
Yes.
colonists from other planets that have, and including the Earth, that have lived on the moon for a long time, and they've adapted to lunar conditions, and they have kind of a light blue tint to their skin. And she was talking about the Hindu legends and so forth, and said that she wouldn't be surprised if many of the beings that are reported in Hindu mythology may have originated from lunar colonies. And so she talks about the Ganesha beings, the elephantine,
Right.
and also these other gods and goddesses. This is Shiva over here.
Yeah, Shiva. And then, oh my gosh, and the blue. I always wanted to be blue. I don't know why, but I always thought it would be really fun to be blue.
Oh, I think so.
Wouldn't it be fun?
Yeah, I think so too.
And the being that I saw in the ship, that the elephant being, he was pink. It was a pink elephant. too.
Wow.
He was pink. And so that was the weirder part of it, you know? So interesting. So see, so you don't know how your work's going to connect with somebody on Cosmic Ray, right? You're just putting it out there, and then I'm sure our listeners are all going, aha, you know, with what you've been putting together and sharing with us this evening. And wow.
Well, one of the people that she met up there was this is Gloria Lee.
Mm.
She wrote a book in the 1959, the Cosmin Press, titled "Why We Are Here," and it turns out that on Earth she lived under the name of Gloria Lee, so she was a receptionist at the Los Angeles International Airport, and she was also a private pilot as well, and a stewardess. But a lot of people didn't know that she was a pilot herself. But she was also a space commander,
I love it.
and she was known as Commander Astaria, and was met by or Annalee Krebs met her on the on board a spacecraft, this Space Leviathan, and then information about their mission is detailed in this book. And I wasn't able to go to Mount Shasta myself because of the coronavirus and everything this particular summer, but
We're having it now, Raymond.
Genesee Roy went in my place, and she's the instrument, or what we call the instrument or the channel for Lady Asteria, for Gloria Lee.
Mm.
She and I worked together before she went to Mount Shasta to represent me in the Venus books, and we put together a presentation, which is a synopsis or a synthesis of Gloria Lee's message, and then my message in the 5 Venus books that are published so far. And how much time do we have left?
We have about a half hour.
Oh,
25
okay. That's
minutes.
about how long. That's about how long it takes.
Okay, let's do it.
Oh, okay. So we're going to go to that. It's a relatively short presentation, but it's very interesting.
20 minutes, 25 minutes, something like that.
25 minutes. Okay. We're going to run through it real quick
Oh,
then.
I love it. So did we get to be at Mount Shasta with Rob Potter's event after all? Because neither one of us could make it. And so I'm so glad.
That's a picture of Gloria Lee when she was on the Earth plane, and she was frequently appeared at the conventions in Giant Rock as well. Okay, and
Yeah, she's beautiful. She's long hair.
and she worked for peace, and attended many events like for nuclear disarmament and world peace. Traveled around the world and did presentations about the message of the space people. And so for Mount Shasta, we wanted to synthesize her message. And so this is where this presentation comes from.
Okay.
And let's see if I can bring it up here.
I'll give you a drum roll.
Okay. Share screen. Oh, that's the end.
It should share it. I hope it does.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
there it is.
Oh, it's okay. I have them all at the bottom here,
Okay.
but I don't know why it's when I go to share screen. Oh, there it is. Oh, okay. I just had to scroll it.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yay. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Oh,
Into the realms of other worlds. Information on Earth's dimensional transition from Gloria Lee, also known as Lady Asteria, on the Council of the Venusian Hierarchy of Light.
beautiful.
And she did a lot of work with beings from Jupiter as well. So we're going to go here and a slideshow from the current slide.
There.
Okay,
That
so
is
we
just
see
beautiful. Our
from
planet is
the
so
order,
gorgeous.
we see from the order of from the sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth and its moon, Mars and its two moons, Jupiter and its whole system of moons, Saturn and its 62 moons, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto.
Mm.
Okay? And so the primary message is that the correct way of life will manifest when we are in a higher consciousness. And we do have these powers that are latent within us, as Helena Blavatsky taught in theosophy. And part of our mission here on Earth is to develop those powers and to help humankind thereby. So if you have an interest in metaphysical things and UFOs and and things of a spiritual nature, or even space science, it's because you're probably in your last incarnation on this world, and and getting ready to transition to a higher sphere of existence. I like this quotation from Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. He said, "We are not human beings having a spiritual experience, but spiritual beings having a human experience." And the way I had that explained to me is that we are uh, inhabiting bodies that are essentially spacesuits so that we could operate in the planetary conditions of the Earth, in this atmosphere and this kind of terrain and things, because we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So we need some kind of vehicle to get around while we're on this planet.
Right.
Then our world is at a critical juncture. There's more people alive on the earth now than at any other time in history. Knowledge is multiplying by a factor of 7 every year, because we're combining digital information and artificial intelligence with human intelligence, and we're on the verge of taking our next great cosmic evolutionary step. We're stepping into a realm of hyper consciousness. So can you imagine? I mean, just well, when I was growing up, we still had black and white TVs, but now, that was the optimum, I guess, in analog TV sets. But now people can walk around with smartphones, and they can have information from all the libraries of the world at their at their fingertips. So obviously, we're living in what the prophets of old probably would call the latter days.
Mhm.
So we want to realize the higher consciousness within us, and part of that is to uh, expand our journey into experimentation, and also research and reading. And when we ponder upon these things, um, when we put this in our mind and focus on it, then when we see synchronicities happening, that means that we're drawing this energy, this cosmic energy, to us, and we're getting closer to uh, closer to transformational experience of some kind or another. So the Venusians and other extraterrestrials that are here want us to know that they'll be with us in the crisis which is to come. All the world's scriptures, not just the Bible, not just like Daniel or Revelation, but other world scriptures, the Bhagavad Gita in India, the Quran and everything speak of a great time of tribulations coming at the end of the age, or the end of this world system of things. And so they're definitely going to need enlightened individuals, as well as other help from beyond in getting through perilous times ahead. So it's like that. Um, uh, song about the runaway train. Yeah, we're on a runaway train, and a few have started, flashing lanterns. But I don't know if the engineer or the passengers have got the message yet. But that's part of our job. So many people who have been contacted by extraterrestrials, either on a spiritual plane or actually had physical manifestations or experiences with higher revelations, never even lived to get beyond presenting just the basis of their message. That Bob Marley song about how long will they kill the prophets is quite true. So a lot of contactees and people that have come forth with these important messages have been dismissed, as with this so-called woo-woo factor, and it's really just a spiritual blindness and ignorance to think that we don't interact with unseen powers. I mean, even scientists will tell us that 90% of the universe remains unseen to us.
Right, exactly.
It exists in realms that are beyond the range of visibility. So just because we can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. I mean, we breathe the air and we don't see it. We listen to the radio and we watch television, and it's all transmitted over waves of energy that we can't see. So this is another important thing.
We have like 10 minutes, Ray, so whatever you want to get through, okay?
Oh, okay. These are the 5 steps to give yourself a karmic cleansing. Be grateful for every experience, both the good and the bad. Act with love toward everyone, no matter where they're from or what they've done. Check your motives and make sure they come from a place of love and for self and others. Check our attitude, because negative thoughts create angry energy that can be directed back at you. And be forgiving, because although it can be the hardest thing to do, it's the most important in creating great karma, because We don't want to go through life carrying unnecessary baggage.
Mhm.
So when you see the saucers in your skies, don't be afraid. Um, if they were going to do something to harm us, they you know, if we're watching Ancient Aliens, we know that they've been around since the beginning of recorded history. And if they were going to do something bad to us, they would have done it a long time ago.
Well said. Exactly. Love
And
that image.
yes, that's right. And then banish fear and put on the mind of Christ. This is what Paul wrote to the Philippians. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. So thinking on things of good report. It's our state of mind, our frame of reference. How we look at the world shapes and determines how we interact with it. And then love shall be made manifest over all the earth. And that's the message. That's the message that Gloria Lee imparted in her book and her message. And that's the message in the Venus Rising series of books.
I love that image. It's
Thank
the
you so
image of
much.
the earth as a heart. It's gorgeous. Well, we made it through that. Okay.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was amazing. Right
Well,
down to the wire.
I'm so glad we were able to see it because we had talked about it and then we got on to doing other things. So it's just been just amazing having you. And I really encourage everyone to go buy this book, Lady Columba, Venus Revelation. And I love the one quote, paranormal activity of all kinds is on the rebound worldwide. The portals to the infinite are flung open.
Oh, yes, I thought that was a beautiful phrase.
It is. It really is. I think we'll go out with that phrase. What do you, can you, that you picked that one? I just thought it was perfect.
Well, those books are available on Amazon while supplies last. That they're the Lady Columba book actually had a big burst in sales, so that one is almost gone. That might have to go into a second edition.
Well, I can't wait to have you sign mine when I see you next.
Oh, thank you so much.
And there was one other thing with the about the Russian cosmonauts.
Oh, yes.
Okay, I love that part.
Oh, thank you. Yes, that's about the friendship that Annabelle Krebs, also known as Lady Columba, that's the name that she was given by Commander Asturia on the moon. She makes a friendship with a Russian cosmonaut that's involved with a secret program to explore the moon, and all the details of it are in the Lady Columba Venus Revelations.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really, really cool. Well, and so we're at the end of our show almost. And oh, and then I keep coming up with one more thing. I loved your images of George Jetson.
Oh yeah. Because now she wrote all this material before the Jetsons premiered in 1962. And a lot of the things that she wrote about on the cities on other planets and in the Galactic Federation were repeated in that Hanna-Barbera production of the Jetsons. So at various points in the book, I just point these out, showing you illustrations how they form the buildings with preset molds with kind of expanding structure. They just kind of pour the building, and just forms and you know, yeah, the domes, even the furniture and the appliances and everything. It's very interesting.
Mhm. I don't know. I think you should have your show, Raymond. I mean, we're just in a little tippy toe of a vast ocean of your knowledge and what you've given to humanity, and you've left. I mean, your work is stellar.
Oh, thank you so much, Barbara Jean. I appreciate that. Um, I thought about doing that, and I've been asked um, to do that, but I feel that because I spend now that I'm retired and everything, and I spend my days writing, that if I were to do my own show, uh, I wouldn't have the time to research and do all this writing.
Well,
So, but I'm always willing to go on programs
yeah.
and to share information as I go along.
I love it. And so I wish you the best of luck on your sixth book, right?
Yes, the sixth one.
Yeah. Did you ever think you would write 6 books? Did you ever
No.
think you were a writer?
I've actually written like 9 books, but 3 of them well, one was published by it was my dissertation at West Virginia University, and that was published in Lewiston, New York, by Mellon Press, and that's on my Amazon page as well, my author page. And then the other 2 books I wrote, one for a guide to help new immigrants to the United States, like a study guide for U.S. citizenship, as an AmeriCorps Vista. So that was just published locally for the West Virginia immigrant community. And the other one that I wrote was I wrote with Andy Reese, who was the psychic for the Weekly World News. He was a correspondent with me for the New Millennial Star. And we wrote a book called Extraterrestrials Everywhere.
What?
It was a breakdown of countries and states and chronological where UFOs had appeared. But I think maybe Andy may have published it, but before he passed on. But I think I don't know what. Oh, it was I gave it to a publisher in New Mexico, but I had gone to Australia, and I was doing some work there with UFO Research Queensland in Brisbane, Australia. So I didn't have time to really follow up on it, but a lot of the information that was in that original book, I put in the Venus books.
I love it. Well, I think we are just fortunate to have you here. I would love to welcome you back when that next book gets published. We'll have you back on again if you would be so kind as to share that with us.
Oh yes, anytime. I'm glad to help you, Barbara Jean, and all of the audience of the Cosmic Oracle and Revolution Radio.
Thank you. And where can they reach you again? What is your email address?
They can reach me at R Keller 1. That's the number 1. R Keller number 1 at mix.wvu.edu, or they can just they can also go to headlinebooks.com and communicate with Headline Books, and that they'll make sure that I get messages as well.
Okay, fantastic. So that's rkeller1@mix.w, B as in boy, u.edu.
V as in Victor, West
Oh.
Virginia University, WVU.
VU. Oh, I'm glad I have to change that in the Facebook page then.
Thank you. mix.wvu.edu.
Okay, we got it. Okay, and you were going to share something at the end we talked about. And I forgot.
Oh, yeah.
Just
I
for
just
fun.
I and my elf friend want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And my little Rudolph friend here, elf. Elf stands for extraterrestrial life form.
I love that.
Little helper.
I love that. I love that. Well, we're getting ready to have our Hey Yoga party coming up with Garrett Duncan right after this show. So if you want to stay tuned, everyone, for that, I'll have Garrett Duncan and I are going to have a little Yeti party, and we're just going to make people laugh and carry on and just be ourselves, basically, and it's dedicated to our Sasquatch family. So,
Oh, wow, that's awesome. I remember that little cartoon, the animation with the Bumblebeast,
yes,
the
yes,
Bumblebeast and the dentist and everything, and Rudolph.
all of those. Well,
Very apropos.
very, very. So thank you everyone for tuning in and to the Cosmic Oracle Show. Next week we will have Daryl Stokes will be our guest. He'll be talking all about orbs. He is the orb photographer, phenomena. So he'll be back next week. Everyone have a wonderful week. Take care. Thank you again, Dr. Keller, Cosmic Ray, for coming on. And
Thank
we'll
you.
see you.
Thank you so much.
To the galactic ambassadors, right?
Yes. Live long and prosper.
Right, exactly. Thank you, Ray. Talk to you soon. Bye,
Bye-bye now.
everybody. See you next week.